Hey y'all, what's going on? Jeremy coming back at you with the 12 Zodiac. Folks, the message that I'm delivering today is about never stopping and never giving up, despite what people do to you, despite what people say to you, despite what rumors are being spread. It doesn't matter, folks. None of that ever matters whenever you're on the path that you're supposed to be on. Because guess what? All that is going to happen when you're on the path that you're actually supposed to be on, because people don't want you on your real path, okay? You know, I said this before. There's people out there that have particular gifts that others just simply do not, right? And one thing that I really find funny is how hypocritical some Christian folks really are. You know, I was just thinking about this earlier because I was out taking a walk. And, it's something how folks can believe that God sent his son down here to earth, Jesus Christ, and that he walked on water and he made wine out of water, and he made the blind see, and he healed the sick, and all these other miracles that he performed. Yet folks want to act like God didn't give anyone else besides Jesus, ever since Jesus, any other special gifts or special talents. We're all made to be individuals, but to be able to conform and come together as a society in the proper way. There's things out there that we're just simply not supposed to accept, right? That's why one of the things that happens to us when there's things that are going on in society that shouldn't be, such as abuse and neglect and things of that nature. Our body develops responses to those things because our body's trying to tell us there's a disconnect between our mind, body, and spirit. That's what that is. It's a reaction. It's called disease. Okay? So when you're out trying to do your thing and trying to be who you are, and you're out trying to be good to others and giving good uplifting messages and things like that, or trying to, there's going to be those folks that are going to see you doing those things, and they're going to come in to step on you. They're going to try and step on you. They're going to try and smother you out, plain and simple. Because there's folks that either wanted to do what you're doing and never had the gall to, right? They were always too embarrassed to. There's those that conformed to society and stay in that abusive type behavior and things like that, and put up with it and just put their head down and work and just go about their business and live in those environments. And just because you simply don't agree with the way that people are treating one another, and you're trying to get a message out that things should and could be different, doesn't mean people should be coming in and stepping on you, because it ain't right. And you don't have to accept that behavior. You do not have to conform to that type of behavior, period. End of story. You should be able to live your life free of harassment, free of abuse, give people compliments, get your message out there of positivity, of another way to live, those kind of things. But you're going to have family. You're going to have friends. You're going to have people that you would never even expect these things to come from. Different social groups and those kind of things come in and attack you for being who you simply are. Period. Everybody's using, once you understand the dynamic of gaslighting, manipulation, and abuse, which 9 times out of 10 nowadays, gaslighting is being used in every abusive situation that is going on, because that's basically where gaslighting stems from. These are techniques that abusers use. And with the information that's out there, and as advanced as our societies become, everyone has learned this kind of behavior. And some are using those techniques against others to survive in the environment. You know, people aren't trying to change the environment for the better, they're just trying to survive in it. So when you come in to spread a good message, or whatever the case may be, like myself, for instance, I listen to God a lot, okay? I had gotten myself tarot cards so I could specifically start speaking to God and spirit, and to do tarot readings for others, and to learn that, because I did find when I was doing it, that it did help with getting to the bottom of what you needed to help somebody on, because sometimes folks just can't see what's going on at the core, because oftentimes we're living in the ego and don't even realize what's going on at the core. So, but tarot cards they're not biased. They're going to tell you the cold hard truth one way or the other, whatever it is. No matter what the question is you ask them, tarot cards are going to tell you the message that you're intended to hear, period. And what ended up happening with my tarot cards is I did a reading for somebody, and I let them touch my cards, which I never should have, and they set bad intentions in my cards. And so whenever I had finished helping them and I was doing another reading for myself, what ended up happening is they bled into my reading. And then I thought I cleared the cards and everything else, cleared the space, cleared the cards. And I went in to go do another reading, and that's when it hit me. Because essentially, when you're doing a tarot reading, it's opening up a 5D connection between you and the divine. Period. That's how it works. It's a communication. It's a connection between you and spirit, because they are speaking directly to you. Period. It's a psychic connection. And because those bad intentions were set by that person, the second time whenever I went and did it, that person was connected between, it wasn't just a connection between me and the divine anymore, it was a connection between me and the divine and them. And what ended up happening is I ended up closing that connection, because I ended the reading. I closed the connection. However, that person was still stuck in my mind. It's like there was a tether there between me and them. And what I ended up having to do is I ended up having to burn my cards. And it took me 2 days to get that person out of my head. And I haven't gotten any cards yet. I haven't attempted to do any readings yet. It kind of freaked me out a little bit because I'm still new to it. People don't want to believe that, I have the abilities that I do. But folks, I do. I can read people. I can read situations. That's just the way it is. If people don't want to accept that, if people want to be upset about that, that's on them. That's not me that has to live with their feelings. They have to live with their own. I have to live with mine. What I'm trying to say is, somebody was just calling me. Spirit will do some really weird things, especially the bad side of spirit, to interrupt you from what your intentions are whenever you get on a roll with speaking the truth. Your family will try and do things to you, right? People will try and do things to you to throw you off. I was going to go ahead and read again the list of abusive behaviors and tactics that abusers use to victimize somebody. Because since it had come back up and since it's still happening around me, I'm not allowing it to affect me whatsoever. You see, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, even if I'm out on the street somewhere. I don't care. I'm still going to continue spreading the message regardless. People aren't going to make me stop spreading the message that I'm being told to spread, period. It's not coming from me. It's coming from elsewhere through me, right? So I'm going to go ahead and read this list, because this one that I got is pretty extensive. I forgot the website that I got it off of, but I got it off of a website. So humiliation, negating, and criticizing, name calling, character assassination, yelling, pushing your buttons, which in turn, when they push your buttons, oftentimes they'll do it just to pull you off bounds, to goad you, to make you yell. Patronizing, public embarrassment, dismissiveness, joking, sarcasm. But this isn't good joking and sarcasm. This is joking and sarcasm in a way that's meant to demean you. Okay? Insulting your appearance, belittling your accomplishments, put downs of your interests, control and shame, threats, monitoring your whereabouts, digital spying, unilateral decision making, financial control. If somebody knows that you need help with finances, they're going to dangle it in front of your face, right? Lecturing, outbursts, treating you like a child, unpredictability. They walk out or they hang up the phone during your conversation, especially when you start speaking truth towards them. Using others to hurt you. Accusing, blaming, and denial. Jealousy. Turning the tables. Denying something you know is true and they know is true. Using guilt. Goading, then blaming. That goes along with that pushing your buttons ordeal. Accusing you of abuse, trivializing, saying you have no sense of humor. That's what they do whenever they're doing the joking and the sarcasm, and then you get upset about what they're saying, and then they're like, oh, you just have no sense of humor, right? Blaming you for their problems, destroying and denying. And then lastly, we have emotional neglect and isolation as another bit of it. Demanding respect. Shutting down communication, that's hanging up that phone again or walking out of the room. Dehumanizing you, keeping you from socializing, trying to come between you and your family, turning you out, actively working to turn others against you, singling you out, right? Calling you needy, interrupting, indifference, and disputing your feelings. So when you start feeling a certain way about them because they've caused you to feel that way, because there is cause and effect with what people do to you, right? If you do these things to me, I am not going to appreciate it. Therefore, you're going to hurt my feelings, and I'm going to go about my business so that I can clear those feelings. And I'm not going to put up with the mess. You know what I'm saying? It's those kind of things. You can't allow the abuse, or the abuse will continue. And a lot of times it'll come from somebody who abused you your entire life. And because you continue to let them back in, they know how to push your buttons and everything else. So the best way to combat it is to combat it. Is to not allow it. Now, you don't get down into the weeds with them. You stay above it and you generalize everything. You let them know what their actions are. And when they try to deny it, don't allow them to deny it, because they know how they are acting, but they're using gaslighting techniques to do it. They're using gaslighting techniques to abuse you, and they will get other friends in on doing it, and they will do everything else, and they will turn people against you and everything else, because they'll spread negativity about you, and they'll do all kind of things in the shadows where you're not even able to defend yourself. And so you just don't worry about it, because eventually what's going to happen is what's going to come out is going to come out. You know, the real things are going on are going to come to the surface of who's doing what. So you got to be careful with those folks. They're going to call you. They're going to contact you. They're going to try and get in touch with you because they see that you're doing all right on your own. They see that you're doing all right without them. However, when you were always that person that they had in their life, or one of the people that they had in their life, that they knew that they could constantly abuse, or they could go and blow the steam off of, or use their punching as their punching bag, they will continue to use that behavior against you until you stand up against it and put a stop to it. I have a book. Hold on one second. that I got from a church one day. It's called Confronting Jezebel and Discerning and Defeating the Spirit of Control, written by Steve Sampson. It is a fantastic book, and it breaks down the Jezebel spirit. If y'all know the story, if y'all don't know the story of it, look up the story of it. It was the story of King Ahab and his wife Jezebel. It's where the term Jezebel comes from, a Jezebel spirit. It's just an evil spirit that's solely based on control. And they will use all different kind of tactics in order to take that control and get that control and confuse situations and abuse situations and do things against people. There was at one point, there's part of the story was she wrote letters in Ahab's name, sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters to elders and nobles who were dwelling in the city of Naboth. And she wrote in the letter saying, proclaim it fast, and seat Naboth with high honor among the people, and seat 2 men, scoundrels, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, you have blasphemed God and the king. Then take him out and stone him, that he may die. Not only did she steal authority, she manipulated those in leadership. She used lies and distortions, and she even used a religious term, fasting, and a religious occasion to bring her wickedness to pass. These folks will go and stop at no lengths to destroy anything that they don't have under their control, or anything that they want to make feel less than them. Folks, don't let people throw you off your path simply because they've been overtaken by these Jezebel spirits, and it's who they are as people. They have problems that they need to recognize and that they need to deal with. It's not everyone else's fault that they are going through or are who they are. Sometimes these folks, the abused becomes the abuser. So some of these folks that have turned into this could have started out as the victim in the matter. Oftentimes that's what occurs. It's just the victim lives in that for so long that they end up becoming the abuser. They take on those personality traits and they do what they're doing. Or, the victim ends up defending their abuser. It's called Stockholm Syndrome, So don't allow people to try and get in your life and turn it on its head, because oftentimes when you're making the most strides and you're making the most sense and you're doing things for the most good, and you start getting attention that others want because they don't have the same message as you, or whatever the case may be, or they feel that you're taking the spotlight, or whatever the case may be, they'll do everything they can to destroy you and your image and what you stand for, because they want to destroy you in any way that they can. Folks, don't let those people defeat you on your path that you're on, especially when you find the right one to be on. And when you find the right one to be on, that's oftentimes when the enemies come out of the shadows to try and take you out. That's the way evil spirit works. That's the way the evil side of spirit works. And that's also God's way of testing your faith. Making sure that despite the attacks that you receive, despite what comes your way from your loved ones, despite the attitudes that you receive, despite people trying to lessen your name or make you out to be something you're not, despite all that, you keep faith in the man above and you keep forging forward. You keep forwarding forward, you keep showing the faith, and eventually it's going to happen because you're on your path one way or the other. So, whether you end up being comfortable in life or whether you have to struggle for your whole life, the fact of the matter is showing your determination, showing your faith, and staying on that path once you get on it. once you are on the right path, staying on the right path and going to where you're supposed to be and doing what you're supposed to be doing. So remember those things, folks. I'm going to look in my little book here real quick and look back to, I forgot where it was. Let me see here. Nope, past that. I'm going to go back through, the gaslighting again. I just want to go over I know I went over all those, but I want to go over the gaslighting again because they're kind of a general. They tell blatant, examples of gaslighting include, they tell blatant lies. They deny they ever said or did something even though you have proof. They use what is near and dear to you as ammunition. Your values, who you actually are as a person, your children, what path you're trying to be on. They wear you down over time. That's a big one. These kind of people, they are relentless and they never will stop until finally they just can't go anymore, or you keep fighting back against them. They see they can't victimize you. They see they can't get in your head, so they go on about and try and find their next victim. Their actions do not match their words. They throw in positive reinforcement to confuse you, and they probably praised you for something that served them. They know confusion weakens people. They project. They try to align people against you. They tell you or others that you are crazy. They tell you everyone else is a liar. Folks, they do and they say everything they can to break your path in front of you. But folks, when you follow what inside here is telling you to do, that's how you know you're on the right path. And when you are meeting that resistance, when you are attempting to change, and when you are attempting to stay on your path, and when you are staying on your path, the harder the obstacles come down, the harder the obstacles get, the more people will try and make you out to be something you are not. Folks, stay positive. Keep a positive mindset. It's hard. There's going to be times where you're going to fall off the wagon, as they say. But once you can get past your addictions, that's one of the hardest things, is figuring out what your addictions are and beginning to break those. Because once you begin to break your habits, once you begin to break your addictions, you can begin to actually truly become who you are supposed to be. Because all those addictions are coping mechanisms that you have acquired over time, over the amount of time that you have been abused. Okay, so once you can get past all of those, that's when you know you're truly healing. That's when you know you're truly on the right path, and that's when you know you're truly doing the right thing. Like I said, I do a lot of different things to get the messages for me come from a lot of different places, and they'll come from a lot of different places throughout your life. You just have to hear it in here, because God speaks to you in ways that He doesn't speak to anybody else. He will never speak to you and someone else the same way. It will always be different. It will always be different for somebody else, because number one, they see everything from a different perspective than you do. They will never truly always see something from the same perspective, never. And so that's why God has to give us those signs in different ways, because they're living a life completely separate from yours. Their mindset is always going to be different from yours. Our minds are like our fingerprints. They're like our handprints. Everybody's is different. Nobody's is the same. So, folks, don't let anybody, no matter who it is, no matter if you've listened to your parents for your entire life, your parents are going to be some of the first ones that are going to go, I'm really worried about you here. And they're going to use those things. I'm really worried about you, to guilt you into getting off of the path that you feel that you are supposed to be on and that you feel you are being guided towards. And then there's other people out there that you come across, could be complete strangers, are going to potentially become envious of who you are, and what you're actually doing, and what your actual path is, and the abilities and the gifts that you do have, because you have gifts and abilities that other people don't, and just like they could have gifts and abilities that you don't. But that's not okay for them to put you down just because you're different than them. That's not okay. It's oppression. It's jealousy. It's envy. It's everything man does wrong against another. So folks, when you got people out there doing that to you, you got to keep in your mind that it's, number one, the bad side of man coming out, the bad side of spirit coming out, the evil side of spirit that's out there. Because there is a good spirit and there's an evil spirit. Okay? That's the evil side of spirit coming out. And what you got to realize is you need to maintain faith with the good side of spirit. Don't fall back into your addictions. Okay? That's what people want you to do, because once you get into your addictions, that's how you fall off your path. Don't fall back into your addictions. Be who you truly are. Continue to be who you truly are, despite what people do and say and try to make you feel. Just let them know what they've done to you and move on past it. Let them know you're not okay with it. They need to resolve issues within themselves and go on about your business. Sometimes it's more difficult than others, and it'll stay in your mind for a while. But the key is to meditate on it. Realize what your feelings are, realize what your emotions are, realize what your thoughts actually are, and don't let them people get you into that mindset. Don't let them Jezebel spirits do to you what they're trying to do to you. And that's exactly what the evil part of spirit wants them to do. Have that faith in God. Have that faith in your path. Keep forging forward. Don't stop fighting the fight. Once you've realized the difference between right and wrong, that's always the first step. Then realizing you have a problem, that's the second step. Then trying to figure out a way to deal with all of it, that's a third step. And you just keep moving those steps forward and forward and forward. Don't matter how small the steps are. Best thing to do is always to take baby steps. Baby steps, because you ain't used to living that life. And eventually those baby steps, that crawl, will turn into a walk, and it'll turn into a run, and nobody's going to be able to stop you. Don't matter what they say, doesn't matter how hard they try, you will always be able to keep going, because you learn to keep that faith in God. You learn to keep that faith in your path, the path that you have finally realized that you are supposed to be on. Love yourself, folks. When you're out and about, love your neighbor. Don't dislike your neighbor. Don't dislike your coworkers because they have abilities you don't. Don't dislike your friends because you feel they have more than you do. Be happy with what you have. Be happy with who you are. Love yourself for who you are. Love yourself for what you're surrounded by. Love your surroundings. Realize that there are blessings in your life that you are not seeing because of the jealousy or envy or whatever the case may be that you're suffering from. Realize there's plenty of you in your life to be happy for. Because if you sit there and you look towards your neighbors and what they have, and you're never truly happy with what you have, in the blink of an eye, it's taken away. Because just because it might look like you're on the up and up and you're on that right side of the Wheel of Fortune at the time, that Wheel of Fortune's always spinning. So you just make sure you're minding your P's and Q's, you're doing the best for you and who's around you, and you keep moving forward. You keep having the faith. Because people are always going to be there to test you. So you let them know about it and you keep moving. I hope y'all enjoyed the message. Please keep moving forward. Don't let anybody get you down. Don't worry if people are trying to make you out to be something you're not. Eventually the light will be shown, as long as you keep walking in it. Peace, love, and light, y'all. 12 Zodiac out.